I am a betting man, and I wager that you need better underwear. Stick around till the end of this video, though you're probably stuck down there already, for essential info on sheath underwear, the best skivvies in the biz. I'm already tired, and Donald Trump hasn't even taken office. I know that you feel it. I know a lot of people feel it. It doesn't take a ton of courage or bravery to not practice anticipatory obedience to fascism, to Donald Trump and his crew, and the fear that they're engendering among all kinds, all classes, people of all different stations and jobs. And already, without even having taken office, Morning Joe and Mika Brzezinski, Joe Scarborough, have obeyed in advance. This time, it's not them rushing to Mar-a-Lago to bend the knee like cowards before Donald Trump's even president has any power whatsoever to beg for forgiveness and come to terms about what the relationship is going to be. Apologizing in advance of his power. They've done it again, this time. David Frum, who's not some wild-eyed leftist liberal type. He's pretty moderate, conservative Democrat. He's on the show. I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to read from his piece in The Atlantic that is entitled, "The Sound of Fear on Air. It is an ominous sign that Morning Joe felt it had to apologize for something I said." I'm going to get to that. I'm going to kind of give the outline. But before I give that, I want to, this is going to remain on my desk probably for the next 4 years. This is On Tyranny. Sorry, something in my eye. This is On Tyranny, written by Professor Timothy Snyder from Yale University, that was published in 2017 when Donald Trump took office. And the very first chapter, practically page 1, is this: do not obey in advance. Most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do. Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski are teaching power exactly what it will be able to do from January 20th at noon, 2025, for the remaining period of time. Who knows? So David Frum, if you know who he is, he goes on. They're asking about the Pete Hegseth nomination and the allegations against him of his alleged alcohol abuse. Dangerous, scary usage of alcohol, especially when you've been nominated to be the Secretary of Defense, the leader of the most powerful military on the planet. He comes on air and he makes a pretty accurate and lays out the history of a previous nominee for this office who had an alcohol problem, who didn't get passed through. But he starts it by saying this.
What's your sense of where the hegseth pick is headed here?
Well, just given what one sees on camera, if you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very drunk indeed. So that's alarming. In 1989, President George H.W. Bush nominated John Tower, senator from Texas, for Secretary of Defense. Now, Tower was a very considerable person, a real defense intellectual, someone who deeply understood defense, unlike the current nominee. And it emerged that Tower had a drinking problem. And when he was drinking too much, he would make himself a nuisance or worse to the women around him. And for that reason, his nomination collapsed in 1989. You don't want to think that our moral standards have declined so much that you could say, let's take all the drinking, all the sex pesting, subtract any knowledge of defense, subtract any leadership, and there's your next Secretary of Defense for the 21st century.
Well, just given what one sees on camera, If you're too drunk for Fox News, you're very, very, very drunk indeed. To which they apologized. He was removed from the segment. A producer chirped in his ear. He was kicked off the show. And the next commercial break, they apologized. This is from that piece in The Atlantic that he writes. Again, the title, The Sound of Fear on Air. It is an ominous sign that Morning Joe felt it had to apologize for something I said. This is by David Frum. At the next ad break, after he said what you just witnessed him say, this is where we pick up. I'll put the link in the description. You can read this entire thing from The Atlantic. Remarkable that this took place. At the next ad break, a producer spoke into my ear. He objected to my comments about Fox and warned me not to repeat them. I said something non-committal and got another round of warning. After the break, I was asked a follow-up question on a different topic about President Joe Biden's pardon of his son. I did not revert to the earlier discussion, not because I had been warned, but because I had said my piece. I was then told that I was excused from the studio chair. Shortly afterward, co-host Mika Brzezinski read an apology for my remarks. Knowing all that we know about Fox News, their backing of the position that the 2020 election was stolen, their attempt to back the play of an autocrat who attempted to overthrow the United States government, fascism in action, insurrection in real time, Morning Joe is going to apologize for some offhanded remark about their network. This was the apology. A little bit earlier in this block, there was a comment made about Fox News in our coverage about Pete Hegseth and the growing number of allegations about his behavior over the years and possible addiction to alcohol or issues with alcohol. The comment was a little too flippant for this moment that we're in. We just want to make that comment as well. We want to make that clear. We have differences in coverage with Fox News, and that's a good debate that we should have often. But right now, I just want to say there's a lot of good people who work at Fox News and who care about Pete Hegseth, and we will want to leave it at that. Are there a lot of differences, Mika, between the coverage of MSNBC and your program and Fox News? The anti-trans bigotry, the white supremacy that has been broadcast for years on a nightly basis? Is it just disagreements? Oh, we can have these conversations. They're great to have. Is it? Or are you bending the knee once again now to the state media outlet that will again take its position once Donald Trump is in office? This is cowardice, weakness. This is selling out your audience that has been loyal to you. David Frum finishes it like this. It is a very ominous thing if our leading forums for discussion of public affairs are already feeling the chill of intimidation and responding with efforts to appease. I write these words very aware that I'm probably saying goodbye forever to a television platform that I enjoy and from which I have benefited as both viewer and guest. I have been the recipient of personal kindness from the hosts that I have not forgotten. I do not write to scold anyone. I write because fear is infectious. Let it spread and it will paralyze us all. The only antidote is courage, and that's infectious too. Those last two lines need to be repeated. They need to be tattooed on the forehead of Morning Joe. Fear is infectious. Let it spread and it'll paralyze us all. The only antidote is courage, and that's infectious too. Tough times. Look, I don't think that Morning Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski are, when I say cowardice, it's cowardice. It's lack of bravery. It's lack of having a spine. But I get it. Everybody understands the threat. But if you lay down, if you stretch your neck out for the boot of authoritarianism, you haven't earned your place, the privilege of your position as a political commentator pushing back against fascism. You've surrendered any credibility whatsoever. What do you think out there, though? Where have I gotten it wrong? You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I'm at Blue Sky, at Dollemore, on Blue Sky, at Dollemore. I'd love to see you there. Be genuine. Take care of one another. There are so many unknowns in life. It often feels like a game of chance. Things often turn out differently than expected, despite the best planning or intentions. Interest rates, that fancy bottle of wine you bought, heck, the election, so much feels like a gamble. One thing you do not have to speculate on, your underwear, or mine for that matter. Designed by a U.S. military soldier while in Iraq, a guy who knows something about steaks, Sheath Underwear's dual pouch system ensures your package won't stick to your leg, while also giving everything some space by separating your gambler from his dice. You see what I'm doing here? Thanks to this testicular tech, Sheath has successfully been protecting your most valuable assets for over 10 years. They are recommended by multiple doctors and urologists and have over 20,000 five-star reviews from customers like me. I'm one of those 20,000 reviews. My sheaths have been with me through thick and thin, both before I was a bit heavier than I am now, and now as the leaner version of me. Trademark or copyright that. I love these things. I think that's pretty clear. So no more garment gambling, all right? Head to sheathunderwear.com/Dollemore to score 20% off. You don't need to be a high roller. You see the theme here, the gambling and the dice and the... It's good, right? You don't have to be a high roller to have unbeatable underwear. My go-tos are the Airflow Mesh, but Sheath has tons of excellent styles and designs. All sheaths are backed by a 2-year warranty and will land on your doorstep near instantly thanks to blindingly fast shipping, which is free in the United States on orders over $75. Also, your purchase actually does affect positive change, and this is very important. Sheath supports multiple charities like Socks for Soldiers and Doctors Without Borders, so you're winning for the world too when you buy from Sheath. Don't roll the dice on your drawers. Score 20% off right now when you head to sheathunderwear.com/Dollemore. Real change starts with you and, believe it or not, your package. Upgrade your undergarments to Sheath.